Welcome back to Dusted Gamers. It's Robert, still playing Final Fantasy II. I just want to point out before I go into this airship here that this is quite possibly the most depressing overworld music in all the Final Fantasy games. Like, I'm pretty sure there's times in the other games where the music gets depressing on the overworld because somebody died or something happened, and it is less depressing than this overworld music. And this is the normal overworld music of Final Fantasy II. I have gotten pretty far into the game at this point, and I'm about to go super Star Wars on your ass. Here's a confession. Growing up, Star Wars is not one of my favorite movies. I was never big into Star Wars fans. I've sort of recently decided that it's probably because Star Wars was so normalized as a kid, because it came out before I was born. It was already way too popular before I was even like a kid. As an 80s kid, it was normal. Like, it wasn't something to get excited about. It was already something that happened and everybody already knew it was great. It was there. And sort of before you even watch it, or before I even watched it as a kid, you know everything that happens. You see parts of it on TV, you know. Just nothing ever caught me like the movies of my childhood that I'm nostalgic for did. Final Fantasy, on the other hand, has a long history of the developers and the translators being huge fans of Star Wars. And this has got to be the most Star Wars of them all. So the plot from this point, at the start of this game, is there's an empire creating a giant machine that's going to end the world, and I have joined a group of rebels, and I'm about to go blow up its weak point. Yes, I'm a rebel force, a group of youngins who joined some rebels that are about to go blow up the Dreadnought, which is basically the Death Star in this game. Damn, I can't get this poison off him. So yeah, very, very Star Wars. I've already come into this stupid dungeon multiple times. It's a hard dungeon. I mean, this has got to be one of the harder Final Fantasies I've played. Looking back through the years of playing role-playing games, though, it's often the harder dungeons, the harder, challenges that I remember. Even the ones I didn't overcome, like there's certain games where I just lost interest in them. It's a balance, though. You have to make sure you're not being just tedious. Final Fantasy is usually pretty good at having hard bosses or stuff that take kind of really specific ways of beating them that makes them hard, but you can overcome them. Like Final Fantasy 4 and 6 are really good about that. When I play them now, they feel like they're stupidly easy, but it's because I know exactly how to play them. Like, I know how the bosses are killed, so like I don't feel like I'm grinding to get there. You can tell people how to beat bosses in those games. This game, because of the way the kind of the grind is on it, it's a punishing game. Even then, this game allows for some crazy exploits of the battle system to kind of buff yourself, but it's just still just so difficult. You just don't have enough resources to get yourself through these dungeons sometimes, and then you get caught in these little traps where like you don't talk to the right person at the right time, and then you have to redo everything you just did, or you don't have save points right before bosses like you do in some of the later Final Fantasies, which are nice. Like, you get to a boss in Final Fantasy 4, and almost always right before the boss you can fucking get all your health back and save the game. And then if you can't beat the boss, you can still have enough health and stuff to get back out of the dungeon. You don't lose your progress, So what happened with this dungeon is I went to the dungeon. I realized I wasn't getting very far because it was a really long walk to the dungeon. And my health was getting... I mean, my health items, my magic were getting really low. So I left the dungeon, went back to town, took a really long path around the world so that I could get a chochobo that would take me to the dungeon without basically losing any of my magic or health on the way to the dungeon. Then I went through the entire dungeon again, managed to not talk to somebody that I didn't think I needed to talk to, got to the end of the dungeon. I just went the wrong way again. So I didn't talk. I'll show you the person I'm about to be there. I didn't talk to Cid. There's the prince. Okay, another Star Wars thing. I'm literally saving a princess from a jail cell before blowing up this airship, which is basically the Death Star. So I'm a rebel group saving a princess from a jail cell. I'm about to blow up this crazy airship that everybody's afraid is going to end the world. Yeah. Basically, Darth Vader shows up in this game. Like, it's very, very fun. It's very Star Wars. It's Star Wars as hell. Anyway, so I get to the princess, unlock the jail cell, and Cid's behind her. And they're like, hey, you talk to her. And she's like, hey, let's get out of here. Go blow up the ship. We're leaving. But if you don't talk to Cid, who's standing behind her, they won't leave. And then you can't go blow up the Dreadnought, which is the airship I'm in. It's basically a flying battleship. So you can't blow up the Dreadnought if you don't talk to the dude after talking to the girl. I skipped all that. I went to the final part of the boss, like the final part of the Dreadnought, and it was like, oh, we gotta get the princess out of here. So I just released her from her cell. Did she not leave? No, because I didn't talk to the guy behind her. They didn't leave. So I walked my ass back out of this dungeon again, healed up, and now I'm going back through the whole damn thing again. It's an exhausting dungeon. The good news is all these battles I'm fighting are pretty necessary. There comes a point in most role-playing games where you kind of get ahead of the curve, like you're overpowered for the area you're at, and so like killing more enemies is just pointless because you're not getting any money or anything. I am not to that point yet in this dungeon. Like, I am certainly... These fights I'm going through right now are certainly helpful still. So, it's not too bad. It's also not, like, super hard at this point because I have gone through the dungeon, so my guys are a little bit more powerful. The fighting system in this game is ridiculous. You have to, in order to get your spells to power up, you have to use them like 100 times before they get to level 2, and they don't do jack. Like, they're weak. In order to get health, you have to take damage. Like, in order to get more health, like the reason my Maria down there has only 200 health is because she's in the back row and she's not taking damage. So putting better equipment on your characters actually works against you at the beginning, because if they don't get hurt, they don't get more health. And if they don't get hurt, you can't heal them in order to get your cure magic to go up. This is the guy. See, I was supposed to talk to him. Oh, well, I guess I'll fight one more battle before I talk to him. So yeah, like, the only thing that's really automatic is attacking. Like, you're gonna keep attacking people, your attacking gets stronger. That's simple. But like using magic and stuff is when you start having to be like really goofy with, yeah, I'll take the princess, blah blah blah. Now they're gonna leave. Yeah, so I talked to her and I walked out of this area and then went to the very end of the whole fucking area. And then had to backtrack the entire area again. It's pretty stupid. I'm actually going to skip forward to the blowing up of the Death Star at this point. Because I don't have much more to say and this dungeon's long. Alright, welcome back. So it's been about 10 minutes for me as I've gotten through this dungeon. I'm doing pretty good. I know there's no... I'm pretty 90% sure there's no boss at the end of this dungeon. I wanted to point out how incredibly assholish this next part of the map is. what I'm going to do is cut out all the battles as I walk through this fucking maze and just see how ridiculous this maze is. That's one stupid fight down. And a poison. So they basically made a maze. It's a gridded room, but they made a maze out of guards in the gridded room. Kind of reminds me of Metal Gear. But you can't kill the guards to get them out of your way, so you have to know the path that you gotta take to get through the maze. This is basically the final boss of this dungeon. This stupid path you have to walk all the way around. What the fuck? I seriously do not even remember fighting these guys the entire fucking... Like, the entire time I've been in this long dungeon. I don't remember fighting these guys once. Oh, is that like four enemies I've had to run into? I think this is it. Oh, shit. Alright. So basically this completes the first major part of the game. You blow up the Dreadnought and then there's these other quests that come afterwards. But this is like the first major storyline arc of the game right here. Let's see here. I need to use the torch? No. It's the Sunfire. I thought, well, you use the torch to get the Sunfire, so I figured, whatever. There we go. Through the Sunfire, blow up the engine of the Death Star. Oh, Darth Vader. I wish he would have cut somebody's arm off and thrown him off the bridge. It would have been so Star Wars. So, of course, Darth Vader's her brother that you lose at the beginning of the game. But you gotta get out of here because it's gonna blow up. Now you can actually see like a backwards backtrack of the entire fucking dungeon I just walked through. This is nice, because this is literally the entire thing I walked through. It's like a montage of the 10-minute trip I had to take when I was off camera. But backwards. Woo! Man, I love airships. Airships are one of my favorite things about the Final Fantasy series. I like how Final Fantasy is like a mixture of like kind of mechanical and fantasy stuff. So you're not just always like dragons and swords. Like you have these cool like starships and cities that are like made out of, you know, machines and computers and stuff. They're just, something about it breaks up the monotony of being super fantasy all the time. I definitely like. It's weird because I don't know exactly how long it's been since I played Final Fantasy X, but I'm getting really excited to play the game again. And it's sort of it's pushing me to get through these games, and also at the same time it's making me wish I could get through them faster. It's kind of a double-edged sword because it's making me excited to keep playing this game even when it gets grindy. But I also kind of wish I was playing that game. I have a lot of Final Fantasy ahead of me before 7. I gotta beat I got a ton of 4 to play, and I'm gonna fly through 6. 5 might be pretty hard, but that's part 2 of Final Fantasy 2. I should be back in a couple of days with part 3 if I find anything to record before I get to the finale of this game. Thanks for joining me again.